All righty. So Unit 4, Lesson 19. This unit has actually flown by pretty quick. Paragraph organization. Really good lesson to help with your writing response, to help you get a little better understanding of how to organize your writing, by paragraph. So by the time we complete this lesson today, we'll be able to organize paragraphs using topic sentences and supporting details. So, your individual paragraphs work much like your longer writing, where you break that up into significant units, even just like you do with a sentence. But in this case, you're going to organize them by a topic sentence and supporting details. So listen to our audio.
A paragraph features a topic sentence and supporting details. The topic sentence of a paragraph is often the first or second sentence. Other sentences provide details that support the topic sentence. A paragraph should be organized so that the details follow or lead to the topic sentence in a logical and orderly fashion.
Yeah, so just like I was saying with an extended response where you're writing several paragraphs, maybe 5 or 6, something like that, you have a broader framework, and you're organizing those paragraphs under what we've talked about, like an argument, a main argument or thesis statement. And you do something similar with every paragraph, right? Everything in that single paragraph falls under the same topic. And so you have a topic sentence near the beginning. You might have like sort of an introductory or transitional sentence that comes right before the the topic sentence. But usually right there at the top, right, the topic sentence, and everything in that paragraph will fall underneath that main topic sentence. So the rest of the sentences in there are going to be supporting details, right? Just like we talk about evidence, we're talking about organizing our extended responses and stuff. That's where you're going to find a lot of your the meat of your paragraph is in those supporting detail sentences. And then at the end you might have something to a final sentence to sort of make a final point or emphasize something, and then you move on to the next sentence. And again, you might have like a transition before a topic sentence to help the readers along there and give your writing a better flow. All right, so let's take a look here at how we organize. So like it says here in our table, your topic sentence. This sentence explains the main idea of the paragraph. Often it is the first sentence, but it may appear anywhere else in the paragraph. Yeah, I mean, it could be buried in the paragraph somewhere. It could be in the middle. It could be at the end. But in most cases, you're probably going to see it as one of the first few, one or two sentences. Supporting details. So these sentences support the topic sentence in a logical way. They may be organized by order of importance, time sequence, or other logical patterns. So you see here, this kind of lends itself to what we were talking about with the extended response, right? How do you organize your whole response by paragraph? And then even within the paragraph, are you going to do that by a time sequence, or some other type of pattern, or by order of importance? And so on the side, it says a topic sentence provides a broad idea that the rest of the paragraph develops and supports. So, right, that's holding the paragraph together with a main idea or thought. And just like we talk about our overall writing with a main argument or main thesis, right? That's sort of the same idea with a topic sentence. It's not going to necessarily present an argument, but it's going to introduce the rest of the information that's in the paragraph. So our example here, they have archaeological evidence suggests that tattoos have existed since prehistoric times. Cultures throughout history have used tattoos and other types of body markings for a variety of purposes. Body markings were used to indicate religious beliefs or to show that a person belonged to a particular group or tribe. Over time, tattoo art developed among several different cultures. Sailors returning from other areas of the world eventually brought tattoos to Europe. For example, the use of color in tattoo design first appeared in Japan. So it says here, as you read a paragraph, think about the logical sequence of ideas and how one idea leads to another. Again, transition words help connect ideas. We see those several times here. Over time, right, showing the passage of time. For example, alerting the reader there at the end that we're giving a particular instance where tattoo design or showed up. So that's these. Oh, there we go. All right, excuse me. And we see that at the beginning there, we have some broad ideas, and they sort of narrow as we go along into more specific detail, right? Archaeological evidence suggests that tattoos have existed since prehistoric times. So we know, the reader knows, what is the main idea here of this paragraph. We're talking about tattoos. We're talking about them being, very old, appearing for a very long time. And then, the next idea, cultures throughout history have used tattoos and other types of body markings for a variety of purposes. Now we're narrowing it down. Now we're talking about that it's appeared in multiple cultures. And then finally, like we get to the third one, we get more specific. So that's kind of how they've organized it. We get more specific with the information. All right, so let's go ahead and open up the quiz here, and we'll get some practice with organizing and making sure that sentences fall in the right place. So they have this example at the top. Now they're saying we might need to move some things around. But here, when it says using logic, it says read the paragraph as written, determine which sentence or event seems out of place. Then place that sentence in different locations until the paragraph as a whole makes sense. You may have to delete the sentence if it does not fit. So, think about that when you're organizing your own writing. Does something feel out of place? May I need to remove it, put it in a different paragraph, or just eliminate it altogether if it doesn't tie back to the rest of my ideas? All right, so let's take a look at our question here. And let's go to Grace. Grace, where do we want to move that sentence?
Okay. Which is the best place for sentence 6? For example, the use of color in tattoo design first appeared in Japan. A, move sentence 6 to follow sentence 1. B, move sentence 6 to follow sentence 4. C, remove sentence 6. And D, move sentence 6 to follow sentence 3. Okay. To follow sentence. Let me see. No. A is out. B is out. I think it's C.
C. Actually, they want us to move it. They want it B. Move sentence to follow sentence 4. So if we look here, it'll say over time, tattoo art developed among several different cultures. And then, for example, the use of color in tattoo design first appeared in Japan. It would probably just be better if they said that, when tattoos first appeared in Japan, but it does show, it does flow a little better. And then that leaves the last sentence as sailors returning from other areas of the world eventually brought tattoos to Europe. So we'll get some more practice here. And what they're going to have us do is read through some paragraphs And you'll notice, of course, right, that all of the sentences are numbered, and then we'll see, if there's some that are out of place that we want to move into new locations. So I'll read through our passage here. Just take note if something sounds out of place to you. Keep that in mind, and we'll see if that lines up with what we have as far as their examples that they're giving and want us to move around. Okay. All right, here we go. So telephone use. We often look to email as being the easiest and fastest way to communicate with others. But is it the best way? For people in the business world, one of the most important skills is the ability to communicate effectively with associates and clients. While personal computers enable people to respond quickly and efficiently through email, the telephone is still a business person's most effective marketing tool. A person's voice offers expression that an email cannot convey. There is nothing that compares to the personal connection that associates and clients, associates to the personal connection that associates and clients get when they hear someone's voice at the other end of the telephone. The telephone allows family members to communicate information with each other, such as what time one will arrive at home. It enables relatives to share stories, ask questions, or voice concerns when they are not physically together. Telephones also enhance communication among family members. However, cell phone usage by children should be closely monitored. Cell phones are common even for children. Today's parents feel secure knowing that their children can contact them from any location. Finally, telephones enable instant access to emergency services. In these ways, telephones make people safer by giving them immediate access to help. Emergency service providers such as police officers, firefighters, and doctors are all just a telephone number away. Distress callers can reach these providers directly or contact them through the 911 system. With new cell phone technology, some of these services can be reached by the simple touch of a button. So you can probably imagine that we're going to find at least one example that we need to move from each paragraph, right? So let's go to Nilda. Would you like to try question 2 for us?
Yes. Which is the best place for sentence 5? A person's voice offers expression that an email cannot convey. A. Move sentence 5 to follow sentence 1. B. Move sentence 5 to follow sentence 6. C. Move sentence 5 to follow sentence 2. D. Move sentence 5 to follow sentence 3. Let me check the answers really quick. B.
B, yeah. This exercise is a little clunky because we got to kind of look at information above what we're just read and everything. So, but yeah, so we're looking at sentence 5 here, and we're going to move sentence 5 to follow sentence 6. So we're basically replacing the order of those two sentences. So what I'll read then, I'll just pick up at like sentence 4. While personal computers enable people to respond quickly and efficiently through email, the telephone is still a business person's most effective marketing tool. Now, sentence 6. There's nothing that compares to the personal connection that associates and clients get when they hear someone's voice at the other end of the telephone. Now, sentence 5, a person's voice offers expression that an email cannot convey. So it flows a little better there, and we're ending with making that point about the difference between email and talking to somebody on the phone. So yeah, that flows a little better there by putting sentence 5 after sentence 6, right? Just a little better organization. So B as in boy for 2. And now number 3. So we're going to move to the next paragraph for our next example. And we'll let Tracy, you want to try number 3 for us.
Yes. Which is the best place for the sentence 9? Telephones also enhance communication among family members. I move sentence 9 to the beginning of the paragraph. B. B. Move sentence 9 to follow sentence 11. C. Move the sentence 9 to follow the sentence 7. Move sentence 7 to follow the sentence. I think A.
A? Yeah. That's a pretty good topic sentence, right? So we're going to move that to the top. Okay, so A, and then, right, so we'll read it through there. So now we have telephones also enhance communication among family members. The telephone allows family members to communicate information with each other, such as what time one will arrive at home. It enables relatives to share stories, ask questions, right? So that is much better at the beginning of the paragraph than sort of awkwardly placed, somewhere in the middle. So yeah, great job. So 3 is A. 4, let's go back to Grace.
Okay. Which is the best place for sentence 10? However, cell phone usage by children should be closely monitored. A. Move sentence 10 to follow sentence 11. B. Move sentence 10 to follow sentence 12. C. Remove sentence 10. And D. Remove sentence 10 to follow sentence 7. It should be after the 12. B.
So C, we're just going to chuck this one out. And that was a little tricky because, for one, they use that transition beginning, the one thing here that you want to make sure, it's like the sentence that precedes it, right? It says telephones also enhance communication among family members. And then we have a sentence about cell phones. So it does, like, if that preceding sentence said something about, cell phones are becoming more popular among Americans, something like that, then that sentence would make a little more sense. It sticks out a little bit here because we go from telephones to talking about cell phones and specifically the usage by children. So we can take that one out. It doesn't jive quite as well with the rest of the topic, right? Which is more just about the use of telephones in the home. So we'll go with C for 4. And last one here for the quiz, we'll go to Nilda. Try number 5 for us.
Yes. Which is the best place for sentence 14? In these ways, telephones make people safer by giving them immediate access to help. A. Move sentence 14 to the beginning of paragraph C. B. Remove sentence 14. C. Move sentence 14 to follow sentence 16. D. Move sentence 14 to follow sentence 17. D.
Move sentence 14 to follow sentence 17. We're going to close our paragraph with that idea. So yeah, good job. So and one clue you have there, right, is that opening transitional phrase in these ways. So it's making the reader think about the examples that they gave in the prior sentences, right? Talking about emergency services, 9/11 systems, new cell phone technology. Some of the services can be reached by the simple touch of a button. And then we're going to wrap it all up. We're going to hit this home within these ways. Telephones make people safer by giving them immediate access to help. And that's a really great way to bookend, right, what we're talking about. So just like we talk about your introduction and conclusion in your extended response in your paragraph organization, right? So we start with the idea, right, the topic sentence. Finally, telephones enable instant access to emergency services. And then we list the different ways that people can access them, how they can reach firefighters, police officers, doctors, and then how new cell phone technology is helping with that. And then we bookend it by closing out, sort of like we do with a concluding paragraph. In these ways, telephones make people safer by giving them immediate access to help, right? Bookending what's in the middle, the supporting details with a opening thought and then a closing statement there. All right, so D is in dog for number 5, and that is the quiz. Everybody get our answers there.
Please, can I get number 1 and 2?
Number 1 was B as in boy, and number 2 was also B as in boy.
All right, thank you.
No problem. All right, so let's go on to the workbook. We'll get another paragraph or two, and I think we'll get a couple other exercises to take a look at here. All right. And, this isn't my favorite exercise. This is my favorite lesson because, when you're writing, it's going to feel logical to you. And I want you to make sure, more importantly about, when you see this, that you understand, how you are going to do this in your writing. You might have a question or two, in the midst of the rest of the test about paragraph organization. But the main idea here is to make sure that you understand, how we want you to organize those for your writing, and then look for some of those clues to help you in the case that this comes up, like a use of a transitional statement. Does it make sense where it is? Like that last one, providing, in these cases, something like that may signal that it needs to be at the end of a sentence. Or it may say something like first, right? Then you'll understand that it needs to be at the beginning of a paragraph, stuff like that. And so like it shows here, topic sentence, and then your following sentences are supporting details. It says right there, the topic sentences and paragraphs may provide an outline, the main ideas of the passage, right? You're directing your reader what the content of that paragraph is going to be. Okay. And so I'll read these again. So content topics. Figurative language is not limited to fiction. Much nonfiction writing contains similes, metaphors, and analogies to explain information, to describe places, or simply to make the writing more enjoyable. So keep that in mind too. Even if it's nonfiction, writers will use these things. You may encounter them when you're doing your extended response in the passages that you read. They may use those techniques as well, similes, metaphors, and analogies. So let's take a look here. What we have. What we have here is, it says, if you suffer from allergies, you may find yourself making weekly visits to a doctor's office for an allergy shot. These visits can be expensive. Working out of St. Mary's Hospital in London in 1911, Leonard Noon and John Freeman experimented with the first allergy shots. Noon and Freeman administered low doses of the extract through shots. These researchers extracted pollen from grass and used the extract to treat people who suffered from hay fever. Patients receive shots every 3 to 4 days. Noon and Freeman gradually increased the extract dosage by delivering a series of shots. Consequently, they found that they were able to relieve hay fever symptoms. All right. If you suffer from allergies, you may find yourself making weekly visits to a doctor's office for an allergy shot. These visits can be expensive. Working out of St. Mary's Hospital in London in 1911, Leonard Noon and John Freeman experimented with the first allergy shots. Noon and Freeman administered low dose. Wait a minute. Why do they have the same thing twice? Okay, it's like, what's going on here? For some reason, they've given us the same reading 2 times in a row. I'm glad I caught that before I kept going on. Just, man, sometimes they just like to trick us here. So, okay. So anyway, now just jumping into the passage, right? Let's go to Tracy for number 1.
No. What is the best place for sentence 2? These visits can be expensive. A. Move sentence 2 to follow sentence A. B. Remove sentence 2. C. Move sentence 2 to the beginning of the paragraph. D. Move the sentence 2 follow the sentence 6. These visits can be expensive. A. Could I view the
Paragraph. There you go.
yeah. Six after 6 concentrate. I think remove this sentence.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, and that's something, you know, if this was to appear on a test where you're given those different options, if one of the options is to remove the sentence, you know, ask yourself, does that sentence make sense in this paragraph? And here, right, you know, right off the bat, we're talking about, you know, allergies. You may find yourself making weekly visits to a doctor's office for an allergy shot. Now, these visits can be expensive. Okay. Then we start talking about the origins of allergy shots, right? We talk about Noon and Freeman experimenting with allergy shots, you know, research on allergy shots. Nothing about more about, you know, cost, nothing about insurance, nothing about, you know, anything else related to expense of treating allergies. So that one sticks out a little bit once you read the rest of the paragraph. So always stop and think. It's like, okay, does this sentence fit if you're presented with that remove option? All right. So B as in boy for number 1. Okay. And all right, I see why they gave us two passages together there so we could maybe look at them a little easier. Christiana, would you like to try 2 for us?
Number 2, which is the best place for sentence 4? No, Noon and Freeman administrated
Administered.
administered low dose of the extract through shots. A. Remove sentence 4. B. Remove sentence 4 to follow sentence 6. C. Remove sentence 4 to follow sentence 5. D. Remove sentence 4 to follow sentence 7. Okay. Yeah. did B.
It's C. So we're going to move the sentence to follow sentence 5. So we're dropping it down below. So thinking about if we start with sentence 3, working out of St. Mary's Hospital, London, 1911, Leonard Noon and John Freeman experimented with the first allergy shots. Then these researchers extracted pollen from grass and used the extract to treat people who suffered from hay fever. And back to sentence 4, Noon and Freeman administered low doses of the extract through shots. Now we're getting that in the right sequence, right? So first they're extracting pollen, and then they use low doses in their shots, right? Now we have that in the correct sequence. So that was basically a issue where things were out of order, right, as far as when they were happening. So C as in cat for 2. And so now we're going to organize our paragraph. We got a bunch of sentences here. We're going to straighten them out so we have a good paragraph structure. So looking at our sentences here. So we have last week, the team made its final recommendation to company management, and the new policy was unanimously approved. In an effort to control company costs and establish a consistent process across our 3 locations, we are instituting a new travel policy for all staff. The second goal was to ensure that employees were not duly inconvenienced or penalized. The first goal was to see how our travel policies might be improved in a way that would limit costs. Before deciding on this policy, a team of employees was given 2 major goals in examining our current processes. So, that's all out of whack. We can tell that that paragraph does not make sense in reading those sentence by sentence. So we're going to drag and drop. We have for sentence 1, what would make a good topic sentence here? What would we want to start with? I'll just throw it out to all of you.
C.
C, good
C.
topic sentence. Yeah. So if we start there, in an effort to control company cost and to establish a consistent process across our 3 locations, we are instituting a new travel policy for all staff. So there you go. Now the reader knows, okay, we're talking about travel policy for staff, right? So C for the first sentence. What looks like would work best for the second sentence?
D.
D. Last week, the team made its final recommendation to company management. That might be later on.
B as in boy.
B would look better, right? So first we're talking about a new travel policy. Then secondly, before deciding on this policy, a team of employees was given 2 major goals in examining our current processes. This will probably be starting to set us up for what might come next, right? What would look good next?
E.
The first goal, right? So we introduced this idea that they were examining our processes with 2 major goals. So next up, let's talk about the first goal, right? So the first goal was to see our travel policies might be improved in a way that will limit costs. And then what are we going to do next?
A.
The second goal. So then we have the second goal, and then that leaves D, right? So here, not necessarily a transitional phrase or word, but we see, the use of the first goal, the second goal. So we know at least 2 of the sentences, what order they're going to come, probably one after the other. And then look for, if this was to come up on exam, look for transition words, first, lastly, in conclusion, in closing. If there's any of those statements, that's going to help you also figure out the order. And of course, we went, we found the topic sentence first. If it works better for you where you like see something that's like obviously, the last sentence, if they say something like finally or something, go ahead and drag and drop that into the last place. You don't have to worry about doing them necessarily in order, and if you need to reset or start over, you can do that as well. So reading it now in order, right? In an effort to control company cost and to establish consistent process across our 3 locations, we are instituting a new travel policy for all staff. Before deciding on this policy, a team of employees was given 2 major goals in examining our current processes. The first goal was to see our travel policies might be improved in a way that would limit cost. The second goal was to ensure that employees were not unduly inconvenienced or penalized. Last week, the team made its final recommendation to company management, and the new policy was unanimously approved. Okay, so now we see that how much better that flows and makes a lot more sense. Okay, and I think, let's see, we'll have, okay, we're just working with, okay, we got two passages here. So at the start here, again, see if you can find, as I'm reading through it, any of the sentences that feel out of place where they're located now. All right, so tips for making jewelry. Today, many people enjoy making their own earrings and bracelets. Making your own jewelry is easier than you might think. All you really need to get started is the desire to be creative. Now, a simple online search provides a variety of free instruction. In the past, you had to take special classes to learn the correct technique. What does it take to get started making jewelry? Beads come in a variety of shapes, colors, and sizes. You will find the best selection of beads at hobby shops and craft stores. For many people, the best material to start with are beads. Among the basic supplies that you will need are a bead tray, a bead board, beading needles, twisted wire needles, and beeswax. You will also want to have tweezers, scissors, a beading awl, wire cutters, and flat nose pliers. You can pick up the basic skills you need to get started making jewelry in several ways. For example, you might go online and do a Google search for instructional videos and websites. Also, you can get a book from the craft store or from the local library. On the other hand, you may just decide to let your imagination run wild. Some websites include great step-by-step demonstrations. It takes practice to develop the skill needed to become really good at jewelry making. As you start, however, a note of caution for beginners. Keep your projects simple. If you are patient, you will learn the necessary skills without making expensive mistakes. Soon enough, you will be crafting your own earrings, bracelets, and necklaces. You may even experiment with more expensive materials such as semi-precious stones. Okay, Grace, we want to try number 1.
Okay. Which is the best place for sentence 4? Now, a simple online search provides a variety of freedom instruction. A, move sentence 4 to follow sentence 5. B, move sentence 4 to follow sentence 2. C, remove sentence 4. And D, move sentence 4 to follow sentence 1. Sentence 4. Simple instruction.
A, right? Move sentence 4 to follow sentence 5. So taking a quick look, if we start with sentence 3, all you really need to get started is the desire to be creative. In the past, you had to take special classes to learn the correct technique. Now, a simple online search provides a variety of free instruction. This way, by flipping those two, right, where you're discussing the past first, you're emphasizing the point about now, and you're ending the sentence with a stronger idea also looking at where the next sentence, the next paragraph goes. And it's talking about, well, that actually comes on later on. But here, right, in the past, now. So we're going in order of events. In the past, we did this. Now we do this. Makes better sense. It's a little more intuitive to do it that way than the other way around. So A for 4 and 5. Nilda, you want to try 5?
Yes. Which is the best place for sentence 9? For many people, the best materials to start with are beads. A. Move sentence 9 to the beginning of paragraph B. B. Move sentence 9 to follow sentence 6. C. Move sentence 9 to follow sentence 7. D. Move sentence 9 to follow sentence 10. A.
So B, we're going to move sentence 9 to follow 6. So we look again here. So our what does it take to get started making jewelry? So asking a question sometimes will serve as a topic sentence, right? Because then we're going to go about answering that question. So then we drop in sentence 9 right after that. For many people, the best materials to start with are beads, okay? Because that then follows the other sentences here. Beads come in a variety of shapes, colors, and sizes. You'll find the best selection of beads at hobby shops and craft stores. Among the basic supplies that you'll need. So we talk about beads, and then we talk about some of the other supplies that you'll need. Right. So B is in boy for 5, and number 6. Tracy, try number 6 for us there.
Yes, it's the best place for the sentence 16. Some websites include great step-by-step demonstration. A. Remove sentence 16. B. Move sentence 16 to follow 14. C. Move sentence 16 to beginning of C. Beginning of paragraph C. D. Move sentence 16 to follow sentence 13. Some website include great step-by-step demonstration. I think it should the topic sentence. So it should to beginning of the paragraph C.
You say C.
C.
It's
Yeah.
going to be D. So we're going to move it to follow sentence 13. So here, right, you can pick up the basic skills you need to get started making jewelry in several ways. For example, you might go online and do a Google search for instructional videos and websites. Then some websites include great step-by-step demonstrations. So our number 12, it's a fairly broad and decent topic statement, and then we narrow it down. So then we start talking about online searches, and then it goes to some websites specifically and that they do step-by-step demonstrations. And then we transition, right, by adding also, well, not transition so much as adding additional information. Also, you could get a book from the craft store or from a local library. Then we have a transition. On the other hand, you may just decide to let your imagination run wild, right? That's where it's going to end, right? Because we've moved 16 to follow 13. So D as in dog. All right. 7. Okay, Christiana, would you like to try 7? Christiana, are you there? All right, let's try Grace.
All right. Which is the best place for sentence 18? As you start, however, a note of caution for beginners: keep your project simple. A, move sentence 18 to follow sentence 19. B, move sentence 18 to follow sentence 20. C, move sentence 18 to follow sentence 21. And D, move sentence 18 to the beginning of paragraph D. D.
Move sentence 18 to the beginning of the paragraph. Yeah, so we would start with, as you start, however, a note of caution for beginners: keep your project simple. It takes practice to develop the skill needed to become really good at jewelry making. If you are patient, you will learn the necessary skills with making expensive mistakes, right? So that serves better at the beginning. So D as in dog for 7. Okay, so now we have a new passage for the last 4. Okay, so dear Mr. Smith, excuse me, you will be pleased to know that you are eligible for COBRA insurance benefits because you participated in a group health plan offered by your former employer. COBRA can provide health benefits identical to those you had with your previous healthcare plan. You may find that the price of premiums is unmanageable. The cost is so high because your former employer once paid for a large part of your insurance plan. With COBRA coverage, you pay the entire amount. Prudent Insurance Company is waiving its usual 2% administrative fee for customers who have recently lost their jobs. If there's a downside to COBRA coverage, it is the cost to you. There are other positive aspects about COBRA that you should know. For example, you can be covered from your last day of employment. You may also qualify for a reduced COBRA premium. This benefit means that you and your family will have insurance from the moment you leave your job without a waiting period. To qualify, you must have left your job after September 1st, 2013. COBRA provides a safety net while you transition to your next job. However, with COBRA, you are assured that you and your family will be taken care of in the event of illness or injury. It offers you peace of mind. Yes, the program is costly. In the end, you will save money by participating in COBRA. Please feel free to contact me at any time. All right, so Nilda, you want to try number 8 for us?
Yes. Which is the best place for sentence 7? If there is a downside to COBRA coverage, it is the cost to you. A, move sentence 7 to follow sentence 3. B, move sentence 7 to follow sentence 4. C, move sentence 7 to the beginning of paragraph B. D, move sentence 7 to follow sentence 5. C.
Move 7 to the beginning of the paragraph B. Yeah, so here we didn't deal with this yet, actually moving it to a different paragraph, right? So here Sentence 7 to the, I'm sorry, we're moving it to the beginning, not a different paragraph. If there is a downside to coverage, it is the cost to you. So we're making that basically our topic sentence. Afterwards, then we have, you may find the price of premiums is unmanageable. The cost is because your former employer. So that makes a better topic sentence than it does a closing sentence at the end of a paragraph. So 7 here, move that to the top. C for 8 and 9. Tracy, try 9 for us.
Yes. Which is the best place for the sentence 11? This benefit means that you and your family will have insurance from the moment you leave your job without a waiting period. A. Remove sentence 11. B. Move sentence 11 follow sentence 8. C. Move the sentence 11 to follow the sentence 12. D. Move sentence 11 follow the sentence 9. The benefit will be your family. Could I view the paragraph?
There you go.
Yeah. This benefit will follow family insurance. Remove the sentence 11. A.
We're going to go D. We're going to move that sentence to follow 9. So sentence 11 here, we'll put that up above 10. So there are other positive aspects about COBRA that you should know. For example, you could be covered from your last day of employment. Then this benefit means that you and your family will have insurance from the moment you leave your job without a waiting period. You may also qualify for a reduced COBRA premium. To qualify, you must have left your job after September 1st, 2013. So yeah, it's relevant. It's just, it flows better if we put it next to 9. All right, and then we're going here 10. Oh wait, yeah, 10. Let's try Christiana again. You try number 10.
Number 10. Which is the best place for sentence 40? However, with COBRA, you are assured that you and your family will be taken care of in the event of illness or injury. A. Use sentence 14 to follow sentence 15. B. Move sentence 14 to begin to the beginning of paragraph D. Sorry. C. Move sentence 14 to follow sentence 18. D. Move sentence 14 to follow sentence 16. Yes, 14. Oh. Is it C?
Move 14 to follow 18. It's D. We want 14 to follow 16. So we start with COBRA provides a safety net while you transition to your next job. It offers you peace of mind. Yes, the program is costly.
There.
However, yeah, so however with COBRA, So that gives you some transition. It gives you some contrast. So it says, yes, the program is costly. However, with Kroger, you are ensured that you and your family will be taken care of. All right. So D is in dog for 10. And a last one here, Grace. We'll wrap up with number 11 here.
Okay.
Stop that.
Which is the
Right.
best place for sentence 17? In the end, you will save money by participating in Cobra. A, move sentence 17 to follow sentence 13. B, remove sentence 17. C, move sentence 17 to the beginning of paragraph D. And D, move sentence 17 to follow sentence 14. B.
Yeah, you're actually going to remove it. And this one is a little weird, right? Because it does it is relevant to the paragraph. Saving money. We are talking about the program's costly, but in the end, it does kind of make sense. The reason it kind of sticks out though is the use of "in the end." Right, that transitional phrase there. It would make sense if we had it anywhere after sentence 18, right, to kind of close out the paragraph. But that please feel free to contact me at any time, that is a much that also is a very strong sort of out sentence, right, a closing statement. So those two together seem kind of awkward. Either in the order there are now, or if you tried to put that anywhere else, it doesn't fit well. So we'll just remove that and then finish with please feel free to contact me at any time. All right. So this one, yeah, you really got to kind of slow down and take a look at each sentence. Think about the transition statements used, think about sequence. There's a lot going on. It doesn't seem like some of them are straightforward. You could kind of tell, but sometimes they get a little tricky there. And you got to really stop and look at the sequence of events that are happening there and how things are unfolding in the paragraph for it to make sense. Does anybody need me to follow up with any answers there? Nope. All right. So the last lesson, number 20. And this one a little different, looking at other types of punctuation. So some of the things that you may see that are a little more rare, but we'll deal with some of the other stuff that we know we've seen and have a pretty good idea of how we use them. So after we finish this lesson, we will be able to use punctuation correctly, such as end marks, commas, hyphens, parentheses, quotation marks, colons, and semicolons. So probably have a pretty good handle on this. There will be some of those more rare punctuation marks that we'll deal with in this. So let's listen to the audio.
Punctuation makes written text easier to read. You already have learned about end marks and commas, but there are other types of punctuation important to reading and writing text. These marks include hyphens, parentheses, quotation marks, colons, and semicolons.
Yep. So, like it says here, we know about ending punctuation. The period is the most common. You might see a question mark. You may occasionally see an exclamation point. And then commas. We talked about commas. That's separate. It's the best definition. It separates your sentence into meaningful units. And then there's other types of punctuation that you might encounter. Quotation marks are fairly common. If you're quoting something, you're going to see those, you're going to want to use those. The other ones, not so much. I mean, you do come across them, but more sparingly. Hyphens, parentheses, colons, and semicolons. But we'll get a definition of those. And I have a list of other punctuation on Google Classroom that you guys can look at. So our table, right? So how do we use these other types of punctuation marks, a hyphen. And then we have our symbol, right? It's the little dash. There's two different dashes. This one is the littler one, and it combines to combine two modifiers. And their example, Dr. Mays is a well-liked teacher. So you kind of are morphing two words into one there, particularly when they're close in meaning. Parentheses, separating text. We ate at Las Palmas on Franklin Road. It's additional text, and you still have a complete thought without using text in parentheses. It's sort of like the way I've always kind of considered parentheses. It's like the author telling you something on the side, giving you additional information, different than an interrupting phrase like we talked about that set off with commas. This one is sort of like the author is telling you something in addition to that information. Quotation marks, right? We talked about that to indicate exact speech. Whenever you're lifting somebody's words, whether it's from a passage or something that somebody says, right? When we deal with that in creative writing, you are always set off whatever somebody says in quotation marks. And then of course they use the example, you should have watched the game last night, comma, he said. So just setting that off. Colon, I mentioned those a couple of days ago. So to introduce examples or lists. So must follow a complete idea. So you're going to have a complete idea in front of the colon. I have 3 sisters, Tina, Mary, and Lisa. So that way you're separating it a little bit. You're letting the reader know that what's coming is a list of information, or you're setting off an example. But you have to have a complete sentence, a complete idea in front of that. Semicolon, right? I mentioned that. We talked about that a little bit. To separate 2 complete ideas. Remember, basically, good rule of thumb, if you could put comma and in replace of to replace a semicolon, then you're using it correctly in this version. So he lost his car keys. His sister didn't have a spare set. Now, just like I said, I could say his sister lost his car keys, comma, and his sister didn't have a spare set, right? That still makes sense. That again, you want to use sparingly because all of these actually, if you use them at all, most likely it's going to be quotation marks, for like your extended response or something like that. But it's better to use these types of punctuation sparingly. You don't want to fill a paragraph with a bunch of unique punctuation marks. That says on the side here, hyphens are used to combine 2 modifiers when the 2 words have a combined meaning, such as low budget movie, right? Well-liked teacher. It's just a little simpler way to put those 2 modifiers together. And then secondly, remember that when you have a first parentheses or quotation mark, you need a second one to close the quotation or parenthetical statement, right? So you always got to have, one to start and one to close the idea, whether it's parentheses or quotation marks. They always come in pairs. All right, so let's take a look at our quiz, see how we're going to correct some sentences here with punctuation. Oh, punctuation can change the meaning of a sentence. We mentioned this, right, with the comma. We talked about this in using, and the comma. So let's leave Sam, or let's leave Sam. Examine each sentence structure carefully to be sure all punctuation is correct. If you're telling Sam that the 2 of you want to leave, right? Let's leave Sam, you're going to have the comma. If you're telling everybody else that you want to leave Sam, let's leave Sam, you're not going to have that comma. There's a lot of memes about using punctuation correctly, and out there, particularly with the comma. So there you're simply changing who you're addressing, right? The first one, you're actually addressing Sam. The second one, you're addressing everybody except Sam because you're going to ditch him. Okay, so let's look at our questions here. Grace, you want to start us off here with number one?
Okay. Janet and Manny were present at the meeting. Logan and Allison were out of town and could not attend. Which correction should be made to the sentence? A, insert a colon after Manny. B, insert a semicolon after meeting. C, insert parentheses around Logan and Allison. And D, insert a hyphen between should and attend. B.
Yeah, semicolon, right? We have two complete ideas in this sentence. Janet and Manny were present at the meeting, right? We have a complete sentence there. Logan and Allison were out of town and could not attend. So we need to separate those, right? Because now what we have as it stands is a run-on sentence. Janet and Manny were present at the meeting. Logan and Allison were out of town and could not attend. That's you need something in there to separate those ideas. You could, like I said, right? We could say Janet and Manny were present at the meeting, comma, and Logan and Allison were out of town and could not attend. Or semicolon in this case, right? So B as in boy, we insert a semicolon to separate two complete ideas. B as in boy. All right, back to our favorite, the drop-down boxes. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. Dear Mr. Harvey. Also, something to mention if you guys are writing letters, if you're writing maybe a cover letter for a job or something like that, punctuation also comes into play as far as your salutation, right? How do you open that? You see they use a colon here, Dear Mr. Harvey. If you're professionally writing somebody, if you're writing something you do not know, if it's in a sort of a professional manner, a formal manner, you use the colon. If it's a friend, a family member, something you're more familiar with, you use the comma. So anyway, Dear Mr. Harvey, at Eastern Airways, we pride ourselves on being a blank customer-focused airline. Nilda, what do we want to punctuate here?
C.
So D, we're going to use that hyphen and make that modifier customer focused airline, right? So we're combining those into sort of one modifier word. So D as in dog. So customer focused airline. Just to mention here, consider the other options. Customer focused airline, B, you pretty much read it the same way, but you need a little punctuation there to figure out what's going on. Customer focused airline, right? That's incorrect. A, because that's hyphens in the wrong place. We're modifying the wrong word there. C, we're using quotations, but we would have to understand, why. Like if somebody said, they are a customer focused airline, quote, he said. But again, that's only when we're using someone else's words. Here, D is what we want to go with. So D, and then we take the feedback of our passengers very seriously, and we make every effort to improve our service according to the feedback we receive. Our customer satisfaction department has received your letter describing your lost baggage experience on your June 11th flight from Newark to Jacksonville. We are deeply sorry that your luggage, what we want to do, Tracy. Tracy?
Sorry, Emil.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are deeply sorry that your luggage in include your finished gear. B.
B. So yeah, we're going to separate that out because we're adding additional information. And obviously we need we need a parentheses. We've got to have an opening parentheses and a closing parentheses, right? We've got to use them both. So that would obviously eliminate A. And C, we don't have a list of information. And that is not a complete statement, where we are deeply sorry that your luggage, including, that is not, we are deeply sorry that your luggage including, right? That's a problem there. So those two would make incomplete sentences if we used C or D. Here, we're just using that little interruption, including your fishing gear, did not arrive in time for the beginning of your vacation in Florida. So everything after the parentheses makes a complete sentence. And like I've mentioned before, with like interrupting phrases and things like that, if I can take that little bit of information out, I still have a complete sentence. So I could just as easily say, we are deeply sorry that your luggage did not arrive in time for the beginning of your vacation in Florida, right? That's still a complete sentence. I'm adding those parentheses to add some additional information for the reader. Then we understand that this incident caused you a significant inconvenience. In your letter to us, you wrote, Christiana. What punctuation do we need here?
Wanted to ask you
A, yeah, so quotation marks, right? We're going to need quotation marks, and anytime we use quotation marks, it's going to be preceded or followed by a comma, right? So in your letter to us, you wrote, comma, giving $100 to buy a few items of clothing was no compensation for not having my clothing and fishing gear for 3 days and having to purchase and rent replacements with my money, with my own money. And then we have our closing quotation mark there. We agree with your assessment. We understand that you incurred significant expenses for clothing and fishing gear rentals. While you waited for your luggage to arrive, we would like to provide you with the following compensation. Grace, what punctuation we use there?
We have to provide you with the following. First, for the clothing you had purchased, reimbursement for your fishing gear.
When I started.
C.
Yeah, so we have a complete idea. We would like to provide you with the following compensation. Right now, we're going to follow with a comma, a colon, and then we list that information, right? So we would like to provide you with the following compensation, colon, reimbursement for the clothing you had to purchase, reimbursement for your fishing gear, rental charges, and a voucher worth $400 toward the purchase of a future flight on Eastern Airways. So you see, particularly when you have a long list, colons are really great because it helps separate that information out. And then it says, once again, we apologize. We value our continued business and hope that this offer provides some compensation to your unfortunate experience. Sincerely, Lauren H. Burrows. Okay. And then closing a letter, you always use a comma after sincerely, all the best, however you close that statement. Okay. Everybody have the answers there for the quiz. We're all good.
I've watched them.
Okay. More practice on the workbook here. And then grading. So written text is easier to read with punctuation, right? Separating those ideas out makes it easier for the reader to follow. End marks and commas, other punctuation marks are meant to help clarify text. Hyphens, remember, always combine two modifiers. parentheses separate content that may not flow within the text, right? It's sort of an aside, like the author is talking to you. Quotation marks indicate the exact words that the person has spoken or written. Colons introduce list or examples, and semicolons separate two complete ideas, just like a conjunction does. And then sentences below show how punctuation can make text easier to read, right? So you can imagine if you ran into a sentence like this with no punctuation, this is a must-win game. We must do 3 things to win: play tough, defense, force turnovers, and put the ball in the end zone, yelled the high-strung coach. Whew, that is bad. But all we have to do is insert punctuation in the right places, and we have a complete idea that makes sense. This is a must-win game, right? So we start with quotations. We know that it's exact language, must win. Now we have a modifier. So this is a must-win game, semicolon. We must do 3 things to win: play tough defense, force turnovers, and put the ball in the end zone, yelled the high-strung coach. All right, so now we know that most of that is a quotation, and we're putting in, again, that's an example that uses a lot of different punctuation to have the sentence make sense. You're not going to see that very often where you have that many different types of punctuation in one sentence. And then it says, remember to place the period in a sentence outside the close of the parentheses. However, place the period inside the end quotation mark. Okay, so yeah, if you're ending with a set of parentheses, that period is going to fall after the parenthetical mark. Period will be the last thing that's a part of the sentence. If it ends in a quotation, though, the period will be inside the quotation mark, right? And then again, some other examples. So with the hyphen, again, combining 2 modifiers. One of Harrison Ford's best known roles is Indiana Jones. Parentheses, last winter I reread Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, my favorite author, right? Quotation marks, did you enjoy your holiday? She asked. Also, mentioned that you should have a comma at the end of a quotation, right? Before, she asked, he asked, whatever it may be. If it's a complete thought and it's, like a exclamation or a question, you do not use the comma. That question mark or quotation is going to replace it. Colon, right? Separating an example or a list of items. Cindy has 3 pets, colon, a dog, a cat, and a turtle. Semicolon, separating 2 complete ideas. Eliza likes going to the theater. Semicolon, she saw Wicked last Saturday. When a question is part of a quotation, place the question mark. Yeah, okay. I just made that point. The end quotation mark. When it is not, place the question mark outside the end quotation mark. So if it's part of the quote, right? If it's part of what you're quoting, if that person was asking a question, then that's going to be inside the quotation mark, and that's all the punctuation you're going to have at the end of that quotation. Okay, let's see here. Test taking. So hyphens are most commonly used with adjective and or adverb combined with a participle, right? So for example, good looking man, arriving guest, custom built car, well-known writer, right? Those you'll kind of find intuitively, when you use them, but you won't see them. You'll see them some of the time. Okay, so let's take a look at the workbook. Nilda, would you like to take care of number 1 for us?
Yes. Will you join us for a barbecue on Labor Day? Question mark. She asked the new neighbor. Which correction should be made to the sentence? A. Insert a comma after day. B. insert a quotation mark before will. C, remove the question mark after day. D, insert a hyphen after new. B,
B, right? We have a quotation to start with. So right away we know we need a pair of quotation marks. We need one at the beginning. So insert a quotation mark before will you join us for a barbecue on Labor Day, right? We know we have a quotation there because it's referencing that she asked the new neighbor. So the punctuation that we have here at the end, we know is correct, but we need something at the beginning to close off that quotation. B as in boy. Tracy, would you like to try 2?
I am starting my diet tomorrow. Assuming I stick to my plan, what is the best way to write the underlined portion of this sentence? A, tomorrow. Assume I stick to my plan. B, tomorrow. Assume I stick to my plan. Tomorrow. As, A, comma, and my diet. C, I can see.
C, yeah, we're going to set that off in parentheses, right? We have a complete idea. I am starting my diet tomorrow. Complete idea. Adding to it something that doesn't quite fit well with the rest of the idea, assuming I stick to my plan. The author is telling us, assuming I stick to my plan, I'll start my diet tomorrow. All right, so C for 2. And now we have a few passages to get through. So vote. Basic voting guide. The founders wrote the Constitution of the United States to form a more perfect union, establish justice, and ensure domestic tranquility. Christiana. What do we need there?
A,
We want B. We need a close off quotation. So if you look here, right, we start the quotation here. Founders wrote the Constitution of the United States to form a more perfect union, establish justice, and ensure domestic tranquility. We know we're starting a new sentence, right? Because we've got a capital letter. We have a period at the end of this one. So we're going to have a question mark there to complete the idea or complete the quotation. To help uphold these principles, every U.S. citizen over the age of 18 has the right and the responsibility to vote in local, state, and federal elections. Let's review some basic principles that every voter should follow before casting a ballot. The first step in the voting process is to research the candidates and issues that will be on the next ballot. A well-informed voter is a good voter. Grace, what do we use here?
D.
Well-informed voter
D
is
as in dog.
D. Yep. So the next ballot, semicolon. So we have a complete idea, complete sentence at the beginning, semicolon. A well-informed voter is a good voter. Also a complete idea. So we could use and there. Instead, we're going to use the semicolon. What we need, though, is to hyphenate well-informed to make that modifier, put that modifier together. Right. So D is a dog. A well-informed voter is a good voter. Months before Election Day, you will find summaries and opinions about the candidates and issues in newspapers, magazines, blogs, and websites. Be aware, that a writer may have a certain agenda for or against a candidate or an issue. Nilda, what do we want here?
C.
Semicolon, therefore, close, but we want a comma after therefore as well. So definitely use the semicolon, but you also need a comma after therefore. So here, remember I mentioned, if it's in the middle of the sentence, you're probably going to use the semicolon and comma. That's because you have a complete idea before therefore, right? Be aware that a writer may have a certain agenda for or against a candidate or an issue. You can have a whole sentence there. So if we're going to use a transitional word or phrase, we're going to use the semicolon, therefore, comma, you should read several sources to form a balanced point of view. It's just like, you could just as easily put a period after issue and use therefore, comma, and have another whole sentence, right? Therefore, you should read several sources to form a balanced point of view. Another complete idea after the semicolon. So whether you're using semicolon just to separate two ideas, or you're using a transitional phrase, right? You're going to have a complete idea before and after. Doesn't matter how you use it. That's the rule with the semicolon. As you gather information about the candidates and issues, you should determine which people and ideas align with your needs, values, and beliefs. Another important step in the voting process is to find out where you will vote. After registering, you should receive a voter card in the mail that tells you where to vote. If you do not receive a card in the mail, call your state's Board of Elections to find out whether your registration has been recorded properly. When you arrive at your voting location on election day, be sure to have with you one of the following pieces of identification. Tracy, what punctuation we want to put here?
The piece of identification, driver license, A.
Right. We're introducing a list of
Yeah.
items, right? So we're going to set that off with a colon. So be sure to have with you one of the following pieces of identification, colon, driver's license, military ID card, or a utility bill. All right. All right, two more to go here. Even though you can find blank ready-made barbecue sauce, Christiana, what do we use here?
Um, is it A?
B, we're going to separate, we're going to modify ready-made and combine that together. So even though you can find ready-made barbecue sauce at the store, it's never quite as good as making it from scratch. Secret recipes for barbecue sauce have become the pride of barbecue masters in every state. If you're looking for a classic sauce that's easy to make, look no further. This recipe has a perfect balance of sweet, sour, and spicy. You will need to set aside an hour or so to make your barbecue sauce. A good sauce requires time to cook so that the flavor is rich. First, add about 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil to a pan at medium heat and add a chopped onion and 3 cloves of pressed garlic to the oil. Wait about 5 minutes and then add the following ingredients. Grace, What do we want to do here?
C.
Right? We have another list. So C. Add the following ingredients: colon, 1.5 cups of ketchup, half cup of apple cider vinegar, quarter cup of Worcestershire sauce, third cup of dark brown sugar, and a tablespoon of chili powder. Depending on how spicy you like your sauce, add Tabasco sauce to taste. Then stir the ingredients slowly, allowing them to come to a low boil. Finally, reduce the heat and allow the sauce to simmer for about an hour. While your sauce is simmering, fire up the barbecue and prepare your favorite meats for grilling. This sauce is great on ribs, beef, chicken, and pork tenderloin. Serving one kind of meat surely will impress your guests. However, Nilda.
B.
A. Guests, we have a complete idea. So serving one kind of meat surely will impress guests. Semicolon, however, comma, the best barbecue masters know to serve 2 or more kinds of meat. Brush the barbecue sauce on the meat near the end of cooking. If you apply the sauce too early, it will cause the sauce to burn instead of brown. Now you can tell your friends that you are a true barbecue master. Tracy, what do we want to do to finish here?
I know when I had my chapter, all these things I had. If not, I can send you what mine looks like. Okay, yeah, I'll send it up to you.
D.
You say D? Yeah. So we're separating out that little bit of information with the parentheses. So now you can tell your friends that you are a true barbecue master. We have a complete idea there. We're adding some additional information that doesn't quite fit with the sentence without giving away your secret recipe. Okay. Okay. And our last one here. So Hurricane Awareness Week. Ask yourself, am I prepared for a hurricane? Christiana, what do we want here?
C.
So A, this one we haven't really covered as much, but if someone is sort of commanding you to ask yourself something, or you might think something like that, you're also going to use quotations as if somebody is asking that question or is thinking that thought. So it's not always direct language, but it's maybe implying that you are saying that as well. So ask yourself, comma, quotations, am I prepared for a hurricane? For those of us who live near the coast, being well prepared, Grace, what do we put here?
Okay. C.
Yeah, C. So you use a hyphen, right? Well prepared, making that modifier well prepared. That's all we have to do there. Well prepared is critical. The Gulfport Emergency Response Agency is sponsoring Hurricane Awareness Week from June 21st through June 27th. The purpose of this week is to help families respond to 3 important hurricane questions. The answers may save lives during a hurricane. Why is a hurricane dangerous? How might a hurricane affect me? What action should I take in the event of a hurricane? To answer these questions, participate in the following Hurricane Awareness Week activities. Study famous hurricanes to learn about their causes and effects. Help weather experts track hurricanes in the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico. Learn about these hurricane hazards. Nilda, punctuation do we need there?
A?
B.
No, D.
B.
Right. Oh,
Yeah,
B.
so a colon there, B as in boy, separating out the information. So learn about these hurricane hazards, complete idea, colon, storm surge, high winds, tornadoes, and flooding. Create a family safety plan, build a disaster kit. Tracy, what do we need here?
Build a disaster kiss in low D.
D. Yeah, so they try to throw one at you here. Build a disaster kit, including batteries, bottled water, and flashlights. So we're going to use the parentheses. If, right, the one option they didn't give us here that would also have been correct is if we had said, build a disaster kit, including, then we could have used the colons and set out those rest of those items in a list. Here, though, they said build a disaster kit, okay, parentheses, including batteries, bottled water, and flashlights. Remember, parentheses at the end, and then the period. All events are open to the public and will be held at the Gulfport Community Center. Okay. And that, my friends, was the last lesson for language arts. Any follow-up I need to do there? Everybody get all their questions, all the answers, I should say. Good. Okay. So any questions on, I know that the paragraph organization, that could be a tough one, thinking about, what order those sentences are supposed to be in. But any questions on that, or punctuation, when, where, how, why we use certain marks? All good? So tomorrow we'll do the Unit 4 review. I think Thursday we'll do the summative review for language arts. That's going to be everything. So obviously, the next 2 days are going to be really important for you guys to be here, because you'll get the Unit 4 review tomorrow. Thursday, we'll go ahead and do the summative review to get, complete, basically, language arts. Then next week, I think on Thursday, I'm going to get you guys set up. So if you want to do some writing practice, like over the weekend, take some time to do that, then we can start looking at writing and follow up with social studies review next week. How does that sound to everybody?
Good.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Again, I didn't forget about social studies. I didn't forget about language arts. Just wanted to get us through, this last part of language arts. And I think, we'll get to hammer out the social studies next week. Okay. All right. Well, that is all I got today. So come back tomorrow and we'll do the Unit 4 review. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Y'all have a good day.